The Philippines is no stranger to powerful crime families. From the bustling streets of Manila to the remote jungles of Mindanao, entire dynasties have grown rich from drugs, smuggling, illegal gambling, and blood money. These families are not just survivors of the underworld, they are its rulers. They launder fortunes through casinos, shipping firms, and offshore accounts, all while enjoying protection from politicians, police, and businessmen. In this countdown, we reveal the top 5 richest criminal families in the Philippines, their estimated wealth, their empires, and why they remain untouchable. 5. The Espinosa crime family. Net worth £200 $300 million. The Espinosa name is infamous across the Visayas. For decades, the family ran one of the Philippines' most entrenched shabu trafficking empires. Led by Rolando Kerwin Espinosa Jr., the clan dominated drug routes stretching from Leyte to Cebu, using local politicians and police officers to protect their trade. The family's fortune was built on volume. Millions of pesos in street-level meth sales every single week. Money was laundered through construction companies, hotels, and local businesses, making the Espinosas both feared and respected in their communities. Kerwin's father, Rolando Espinosa Sr., even served as a mayor, blurring the lines between politics and organized crime. But their empire came crashing into public view in 2010, when the elder Espinosa was killed inside a jail cell during a controversial police raid, an event that shocked the nation and raised suspicions of a cover-up. Despite arrests and crackdowns, whispers suggest that Kerwin and his loyalists continue to move money through shadow networks. The Espinosa empire may have fractured, but its wealth remains hidden across offshore accounts and shell businesses. 4. The Curatong Balaleng Syndicate. Net worth £300 to $500 million. Originally a paramilitary group created in the 1980s to fight rebels in Mindanao, the Curatong Balaleng evolved into one of the Philippines' most powerful crime syndicates. What began as a government-backed militia quickly turned into an empire of bank robberies, smuggling, extortion, and drug trafficking. At its height, the syndicate was accused of stealing billions of pesos through daring daylight heists and armored truck raids, while also running illegal gambling dens and protection rackets. Over the years, their wealth flowed into farms, shipping companies, and political campaigns, cementing their grip on local power. The family-led organization became so powerful that they allegedly controlled entire towns in Misamis Occidental, collecting taxes like a shadow government. Attempts to dismantle the group often fell apart, as members were shielded by alliances with police, military officials, and politicians. Today, while many of its original leaders have been arrested or killed, fragments of Curatong Balaleng still operate in Mindanao. Their fortune, amassed over decades, continues to ripple through hidden investments and loyal family networks. 3. The Roxas Illegal Gambling Dynasty. Net worth £400 $600 million. In the Philippines, illegal gambling isn't just a pastime. It's an underground empire, and no family capitalized on it like the Roxas Syndicate, long whispered about for their dominance of hueteng operations across Luzon. Hueteng, an illegal numbers game deeply woven into Filipino culture, is more than just gambling. It's a way of life in poor communities. Bets are small, often just a few pesos, but the scale is massive. Every street, every village, every barangay has runners who collect numbers, passing them up a chain until the money pools into staggering daily totals. The Roxas clan mastered this system. They didn't just run operations, they built an economy. At their peak, it's estimated that their network raked in millions of pesos every single day, funneling cash from the pockets of farmers, street vendors, and laborers straight into the hands of the family. What made the Roxas empire untouchable was its seamless integration with politics. Allegations have long tied local governors, mayors, police chiefs, and even senators to hueteng payoffs. It was an open secret. Crime lords funded election campaigns, and in return, politicians turned a blind eye. In some provinces, Roxas money didn't just buy protection, it bought power outright, securing entire voting blocks and ensuring the family's allies won seats in government. The Jueteng economy became so entrenched that it blurred the line between crime and governance. The family also became experts in laundering dirty money into legitimate fronts. Their fortunes flowed into bus companies, shipping firms, warehouses, construction outfits, and sprawling real estate portfolios. To the public, they appeared as respectable businessmen investing in progress, but behind the curtain, those businesses were nothing more than masks, clever pipelines to wash gambling profits clean. Their wealth could be seen in luxury mansions in Quezon City, fleets of armored SUVs, and high-stakes lifestyles that rivaled Manila's elites. Law enforcement tried, time and again, to crack down. Police raids shut down betting dens, numbers runners were arrested, and Jueteng was declared illegal at the highest levels of government. But the truth was clear: every crackdown was temporary. Operations resumed within days, sometimes within hours, because the system was too entrenched and too profitable to die. In fact, many politicians themselves admitted that Jueteng bankrolls were what kept local governments running, indirectly financing projects and maintaining patronage networks. For the Roxas family, this wasn't just about gambling, it was about control. They built a parallel state, one where loyalty was rewarded with payouts and protection, and betrayal was met with ruthless consequences. Fortunes were not made in the glitzy casinos of Manila, but in the quiet passing of betting slips in alleyways, corner stores, and marketplaces. It was an empire hidden in plain sight, fed not by tourists or tycoons, but by the everyday hopes and desperation of ordinary Filipinos chasing luck. Even today, despite countless investigations and scandals, the Roxas name remains tied to this shadow economy. And in a country where corruption often runs deeper than reform, the Roxas dynasty's grip on Jueteng is remembered as one of the most enduring criminal enterprises in modern Philippine history. 2. The Parojinog clan. Net worth, 600 to 800 million. The Parojinog family of Ozamis City represents one of the most notorious intersections of politics and organized crime in the Philippines. For decades, the clan ruled Misamis Occidental with an iron fist, blending political power with illegal businesses that spanned drug trafficking, gambling, smuggling, and extortion. Led by Mayor Reynaldo Aldong Parojinog Sr., the family cultivated an image of community benefactors, funding fiestas, public works, and charities. But behind the scenes, they were accused of running a shadow empire that rivaled any cartel. The Parojinogs controlled local shabu distribution networks across Mindanao and reportedly had direct connections to Chinese syndicates who supplied their precursor chemicals. Illegal gambling, particularly Jueteng and cockfighting arenas, was another pillar of their wealth. Profits flowed through legitimate-looking businesses such as construction companies, hotels, and real estate developments, turning dirty cash into polished assets. At their peak, the family's fortune was estimated in the hundreds of millions, with luxury cars, sprawling mansions, and offshore accounts serving as proof of their immense reach. What made the Parojinogs especially dangerous was their political insulation. As a political dynasty, they had mayors, councillors, and barangay officials within their bloodline. This gave them the ability to control police assignments, manipulate investigations, and neutralize rivals. But in 2017, their empire was dealt a crushing blow when police launched a deadly raid on the Parojinog residences. Mayor Reynaldo Sr., his wife, and several family members were killed in the operation, while others were arrested. The raid was one of the bloodiest anti-drug offensives under President Duterte's war on drugs and sent shockwaves across the nation. Still, whispers remain that the Parojinog network did not vanish entirely. Loyalists and allies are believed to have absorbed pieces of their empire, and some family members continue to wield political and financial influence. Their story remains a cautionary tale of how crime dynasties in the Philippines can grow to the size of corporations, protected not just by guns and money, but by votes and government power itself. 1. The Cebuco drug empire, net worth $800 million, $1 billion. At the very top of the list is the Cebuco family, a clan often regarded as the closest thing the Philippines has to a true cartel dynasty. Based in Mindanao, their empire rose out of a lethal combination of methamphetamine production, arms smuggling, and kidnapping for ransom operations. Their operations extended into the strongholds of Abu Sayyaf and other militant factions, where the family allegedly struck deals to use maritime routes for transporting drugs and weapons across the Sulu Sea and beyond. Their laboratories were hidden in some of the most inaccessible parts of rural Mindanao, concealed behind layers of jungle and defended by private militias armed with military-grade weapons. This structure mirrored that of global cartels in Latin America, showing just how sophisticated the Cebucos had become. The billions they generated didn't just disappear into offshore accounts. The Cebucos laundered their fortunes through a sprawling web of legitimate enterprises. Shipping companies gave them control over maritime trade, pawn shops provided liquidity for cash-heavy operations, hotels served as fronts for laundering, and foreign investments tied them into global financial systems. This blend of legality and illegality created a dual identity. On one side, feared cartel overlords. On the other, respected businessmen in polished suits. What truly sets the Cebuco Empire apart from others, however, is its political insulation. For decades, whispers of their alliances with local warlords, corrupt generals, and even high-ranking politicians have shaped their legend. Arrests of low-level couriers and henchmen made headlines, but the family's inner circle remained untouchable, shielded by a system of payoffs, threats, and favors. Police raids on their supposed strongholds often ended in suspiciously minor seizures, token amounts of drugs or small caches of weapons, leaving the real operations untouched. The scale of their wealth is staggering. Analysts estimate that their holdings rival those of mid-sized corporations, a figure almost unthinkable for a family empire born from crime. More importantly, their dominance over maritime smuggling routes in the south made them indispensable to other syndicates across the region. Rivals who might have challenged them were often forced into uneasy cooperation because no one could move significant quantities of contraband without crossing Cebuco-controlled waters. In the Philippines, the name Cebuco has come to symbolize more than just criminal wealth. It represents the terrifying blend of fear, respect, and power that comes when organized crime embeds itself into every layer of society. Their empire is a reminder that in some corners of the country, the line between a cartel and a dynasty is razor-thin, and in the case of the Cebucos, perhaps non-existent. These 5 families represent the shadow aristocracy of the Philippines. They thrive in the spaces where law fails, where poverty fuels demand, and where corruption shields supply chains. From drugs and gambling to smuggling and kidnappings, their empires rival legitimate industries, pumping billions into a hidden economy that stretches from Manila to Dubai. The government fights back with raids, crackdowns, and task forces. But history shows the wealthiest families always adapt. For them, crime isn't a risk. It's a dynasty. It's business. And in the Philippines, sometimes real power doesn't sit in the Senate or Malacanang Palace. Sometimes it sits in the shadows, wearing designer clothes, riding bulletproof SUVs, and smiling like royalty.